The Invincible Iron Man issue number 1. We haven't even had a month off since the end of Cantwell's amazing run. I've covered every issue of that run. It is the first and only Iron Man story I read fully that I enjoyed. Not an Iron Man fan over here. That book was a great deconstruction of Tony Stark, took him into some beautiful and interesting ways. So having it end and instantly come back with a new title is a little bit off to me because I'm like, can't we just resonate with a book for a minute? I guess not because numbers and shit. But Jerry Duggan is a guy I am a fan of. I'll give his Iron Man a shot, and so far, one issue in, I don't have any complaints, but I'm also not like jazzed about it. So I don't know. It's just like cool, another Iron Man story, which is good, right? That we can come back and have it the same. I think my biggest problem thus far is that it feels very much like it is a sequel to the Cantwell stuff and doesn't really explore any new themes with that idea. It's like, okay, so we're relaunching it to talk about the same thing with just new ideas thrown onto it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So this book is a narration of Tony Stark potentially writing an autobiography about his life. I'm not going to get too much into that point, but just know that's what the narration is. He breaks down his entire life, his rise, his fall, why he was drinking, what happened to all the buildings he's owned, where he was living, what he was doing, the life he didn't have, the life he did have, all that stuff, where he's currently at, talking about the ends of the Cantwell book. Riri has the 10 rings. He doesn't have the money he used to have. All of these weapons from Source Control are stored in a storage unit with him and Rhodey, essentially just putting him in a position we're familiar with. You know, it's like, okay, Tony Stark, he's not as rich, which is something Batman just did. The younger generation is taking his ideas and using them better, which is something Batman just did. And we're seeing a new Tony having to kind of like live in the suburbs, which is something the Batman just did. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. So cool. He's living in this apartment. He's down to one suit of armor. The reactor makes a weird noise, and suddenly the building he's in explodes. One woman dies. He is severely injured. And when we pick up, we see that he's in the hospital, lucky to be alive. And he is thinking somebody did something to his reactor. Somebody must have like hacked it or put some weird corruption technology into it to make it go off. He agrees he will pay for all the funerals and just kind of supports that. And he's going to pay off, and like if there's damages in any type of form, he's going to pay for the people in the building that need it. Even when Jen, his lawyer, is like, what are you doing? Don't do that. So that is like, okay, that is a Cantwell thing. He might have accidentally blown up a building and killed a woman. That's a theme he's going to explore, deal with the repercussions of that. He's fine with it. He also realizes that his stock is probably going to tank in his company a bit, which makes sense. I don't hate any of these themes. I don't. They all work. I don't know if they are as like compelling as they could be. Maybe it's just that I need time to like digest what's going on in this book. It's just very much what we saw last issue, right? So that's fine. But Tony dealing with shit, it's okay. He moves into, I guess, like a garage somewhere that used to be like for taxis, calls it his cave, starts working there, building his new technology. It's going pretty good for him. He's feeling a little bit better about himself, like, all right, I'm compensating a little bit. I have a smaller budget than I used to. Let's see what I can do. So he just heads out to fight some crime somewhere, and is attacked by this weird robot. And it's just like a big scraping fight, and that's kind of cool. It's interesting to see. The artwork is solid enough. The designs are very fun. And he neutralizes this threat, realizes that this person's a messenger working for a bigger power, which you're like, okay, I see where that's going. More mystery characters to reveal. This book also did that thing where like Spider-Man recently started like that. The Fantastic Four recently started like that. They blow up an area and the public eye changes for these characters. And I'm like, yep, we get it. We're reading Marvel right now. I get it. But he neutralizes this threat, takes the helmet off the messenger, and sees that it is a man named Elliot Bonacristiano, who was kidnapped 2 days ago. Obviously, who kidnapped him was sending a message to Tony. So Tony gets him out of the suit before it explodes, tries to take the man to the hospital. Hopefully, it's going to save his life, but he's not sure yet. While he's in the hospital, he also sees that the Stark Unlimited stock is dropping pretty extensively. Oh no, he's going to cost his company money. but he just takes a minute, try to figure out his life, sitting through the rubble of the apartment he used to live in. Some kids give him a hard time for littering. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can see that. Just everyone criticizing Tony at every turn. I think it makes sense, especially in today's climate, where we are in this like post-billionaire era, where we hate the idea of billionaires and just them existing is upsetting. So having one of the richest men in the world, or who used to be one of the richest men in the world, just do whatever he wants, I understand why people react to him that way. I get it. I think that's fine. Then he's like, well, I just got to keep my head clean. He goes to an AA meeting, and I'm like, that's cool. And as he's leaving some pub later that night, he is just walking down the street. Suddenly he trips. He thinks might be like, drunk? Doesn't really know. He's throwing up. But as we see him walking out of the pub, you're in instance like, he's drunk. Tony relapsed or something. But it looks like something else might be happening because he collapses into the bins like he needs help. He needs help. Is he dying? Is he having a heart attack? What's going on with Tony? And that's where the book ends. And I'm like, okay, I don't hate any of these themes. I just don't know if the bow is that interesting. We spend a majority of this book just explaining Iron Man. And I'm like, do you need to? One of the most profitable characters in all of film history, do we need to explain Iron Man's origin? Is anybody coming onto this book who hasn't already read an Iron Man or know of the character? That's what I want to know. And if so, are they going to be happy with this outcome? It's still like the deconstruction of Tony, the billionaire who had it all, losing all of his money to help other people again, but still getting shit upon for doing it. That's this book. It's doing it fine. Again, Cantwell's run just changed the way I perceive this character. So this not breaking the mold isn't upsetting. It just doesn't give me anything to really latch onto. I'm like, yeah, okay, I've seen this already. I know what we're doing here. He's trying to do the right thing. People are criticizing him for it. Can't get his life together, trying really hard. Probably going to wind up in a place he doesn't want to be. No issues with that. The writing is strong enough. The artwork is strong enough. It's all coming together. Hopefully it picks up a little bit more, but as it stands, I don't think this book is as like challenging as it could be, as strong as it could be. It simply exists, and I have no problem with that. Hopefully we can see something pick up in this run. So far, it's just okay. So, the Invincible Iron Man issue number 1, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Hive, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.